Hello, good morning. I'm running a bit late, but I don't see anyone live yet or present yet. First, I'll explain my red hat. Yesterday, I went to the beach for a few hours to meet a friend who lives in at the coast, and so it was very sunny, but I had a little sunburn, I guess. And this morning I went running. That always gives me a really red hat. So I actually don't know why that happens. Some people get red and others don't. I always had this. It doesn't really matter whether I'm in perfect condition or not. I just turn red. Anyway, that's not what I want to talk about today. I've titled this day, Life is a Path of Learning or Not. And there are many stories or belief systems, whatever you like to see them as, why it actually is that life things happen the way they happen, and why some people turn out to have a very intense life and other people seem to have a very lucky life. At least from the outside it looks lucky. Doesn't always mean that it's lucky for the people who are in that situation. But it's quite obvious that we all learn, or that we all have a different life. Born in a different circumstance, raised in a different circumstance, and it always has questioned me why that actually is like that. And there are people who are saying that because we have made soul contracts at a higher frequency in a different dimension. So just a little story around that, not as a truth, but really just as a story. And there could be a truth in it, of course. It is said that at a high dimension, when we are not alive, or we are alive, but not the identity we are here, not the roles we play here, not this human body we're here. We at the same time also have this spirit within us, actually the one I'm trying to connect you to, within you. But that spirit is endless. That never gets born and never dies. It's just part of a greater field of spirits, you could say, and it might even be in a different dimension than we can imagine just being Earth. So let's say that different dimension is true, and then it's said that from that perspective, it's said that before you choose to be born, you make soul contracts with other spirits for the lessons you like to learn. So you literally say to your soul contract in a spirit way, like, I want to learn this lesson, and the other person says, okay, or the other spirit says, well, that's fine, I'm going to teach you that lesson. And then you get born, and somehow these two souls come together. They meet each other in real life, and this lesson is played out. And obviously, how it's played out is not being pre-designed. It's just being played out. And whether you learn that lesson that your soulmate is teaching you is up to you, obviously. So you can stay in a very long situation, and life is repeating the same thing, and your soulmate is showing you different things, or the same thing over and over again, but if you don't learn it, life doesn't change. And then, of course, you can have contracts with different soulmates at the same time. So different persons show up in your life, or different events happen that shows up in your life. So whether it's true or not is not so really relevant. But what I can only imagine to be somehow true is that we apparently all learn different lessons. And why we have to learn different lessons might be because we had different experiences before, or we made different soul contracts, like I just explained. Or there's no reason we can explain, but the fact that it's happening, we cannot deny that. Because my life is completely different from anyone of you. And I had a different past than any one of you. So we all go through life, and then you can, of course, say, well, it just happens. It just is like that. It's bad luck. It's like the different version of karma where you just say, well, it's just bad luck and you have to deal with it. And if you improve your life and learn your lessons, then next life you will have a better karma and things will be better. So you have to learn it now. And in that sense, I like that karma perspective, because at least shows you there is a reason to learn your lessons, or there's a benefit to learn your lessons, because the next life it will be better. But despite the fact that we believe in previous lives and next life, and I honestly don't know what to believe in, I don't think it's really relevant what to believe in. I can only not deny, I can only confirm for myself that I just had to learn lessons this lifetime. And I also know now that the more lessons I learn, the better my life gets. So apparently there is some relationship there. Or there's some relation to learning a lesson and life gets better. So, and obviously, because you're watching these 99 days, you want to learn lessons. And then the question comes, how fast are you going to learn them? And how open and willing are you to go through these processes? And somehow, we're still sabotaging ourselves. And I know I already addressed the whole session to this self-sabotage process within us, this dynamic within us that we are not willing to learn the lesson. And I'm really trying hard to find a pointer for you how to get through that. And the only thing that keeps coming up for me is just, first, be brutally honest with yourself. What is it where you're self-sabotaging yourself still in? What is it that you really don't want to actively change? But it does annoy you. Obviously, if it doesn't annoy you, it's hard to change. But if it really annoys you and it bothers you, you don't like it. And I'm not talking about the pains of all traumas. I'm really talking about things you just don't like in your life. You want to see changed. So first, it's just being honest what you really want to see changed. And then not just, but take steps. Because it won't change if you just think about it. It just simply won't change. It won't even change if you try to release the blocked energy underneath it. The energy might be gone, but because we run on such a habitual, unconscious mind, the pattern might still be there, even though the energy is not there anymore, but the pattern might still be there. But so then you actually recreate the energy again. So you actually recreate the blocked emotion again. So just to make this very clear, let's say you have had a lack belief uncovered and you didn't change anything in your life, but you really sat with it and released it, and it really felt like this energy was literally released in your system. So you opened your heart, you did the whole process, and you really felt lighter afterwards. Great first step. But then why that still appeared in your life, or if you then you have to know, let me rephrase this, then you have to look at how this pain that you just released, how it showed up in your life, in what kind of patterns you have in your life it showed up. And it's important to recognize these patterns, because if you don't recognize these patterns, and because we're for 95% of our daily activities, thinking and actions, we're so habitually programmed, most likely that if you're unconscious about why this pattern, what was the pattern that created this pain, or covered up even this pain, then most likely it will return back into your life to show you, okay, you release this energy, you release this blocked emotion, that's great. But you didn't look at the pattern around it. You didn't look at your behavior So most likely you will attract again, or you create again. You don't so much attract again because that energy is gone. But you most likely still create that same kind of pattern again. And then you might end up in thinking like, I thought I worked on this, but it's still coming back. Like I had my, I had my insecurities around coaching. And I couldn't really find out what it was that blocked me of being a good coach, because I wasn't really insecure, but it was something that was more like resistance against coaching, and I couldn't find it. And then I had this insight and released what kind of blocked me. That happened in December. But then it took a while because I didn't take any steps then. I didn't change any behavior. I thought more like, okay, wow, now I know it. And now I can send out this message to the world, I'm a great coach. And then nothing really happened because I didn't step into a new pattern. I didn't step into taking action on showing that it really was solved up until I started these 99 days. Up until I really challenged myself to, because I never was really attracted to one-on-one coaching. I always wanted to do something with bigger groups, but I didn't know how. But then I tried these 99 days, and I'm not saying this is the perfect solution for me. But then I could feel like I'm changing patterns within me. I'm also trying new things. I'm trying to learn new things. And then some other insecurities came up because I actually changed into something new. So just sitting with the emotion and releasing it and feeling more lighter is not enough. We really have to change our life. We really have to try new things. And it can be small and it can be big. It can be as small as if you drive the same route to your work every day. Then you're completely on the autopilot. What about if you just change your route to get your mind engaged again? And now you might be thinking, she's not talking about the mind, get the mind engaged. Well, the mind is still like a very useful thing. The chatter mind is not useful, but the mind itself is very brilliant and useful because we can learn so fast with it. And if you change some habitual behavior, new things will appear in your life. And at the same time, the lessons you need to learn will be shown in your face more clearly. So if you stay in the same situation all the time, and even though you know you need to learn that lesson, most likely it's very difficult to learn that lesson in that same situation if you're in there for such a long time. Then you have to change something within that construct. So things get moving, and then the lesson that you need to learn will be shown to you. So it's not enough to do the things by now, being 50 days something in this journey. It's not enough to still do the same things and just recognize your lack beliefs and recognize your pains and recognize where you're stuck. It's not enough. You have to change. You have to choose a few things in life that you just consciously are going to do differently. And it's trial and error. So it's failing comes with it. It's trial and error, and you might fail. And if you watch that video of Arnold Schwarzenegger again, failing comes with it. Failing is not a bad thing. Failing is to learn something. If we don't try something, we can't learn. We've never learned something new without trying it. Never, ever. Even reading a book and learning something, it's just you try to read a book, and you read a book and you learned something. So you have to pick up something. And somehow, and prove me wrong, but somehow I have the feeling that you're all stuck or hold yourself in the same position as you were 50 days ago, in the sense that you're not actively taking new things on. And obviously, because I don't know where you all are, so it's an assumption. And I hope I'm wrong, and then this lesson is actually something that is totally useless to you. I hope so. because that will be the best confirmation of that you're moving on. But if there's still something that you know you need to that you know you're postponing, you know that you're not doing, you know you're still like annoyed with yourself, that you are still in the same pattern and it's not changing, then start doing it now. Because that's really how you learn your lessons. There's no other way. And it can be on the level of relationship, it can be on the level of job or fulfillment, or doing the things you love. It can be in the health area, feeling more balanced in your body, or letting go of chronic diseases or pains, or looking differently at it, or trying to get more balance there, but from a different way than you used to do. Because you now have new insights on what might be behind it. Or it can be on friendships level, or it can be on, well, what else do we have in life, which is a common factor? Well, just your environment. It can also be just your environment where you live. You just don't feel in resonance where you live, and it's been bothering you for a while, and it's not perhaps so clear the lesson you need to learn there, but once you move, life will show you different things. If I do everything the same all over again for years and years and years, guess what? The same will happen. And I can see it with people around me who are very fearful of change. And I can see their life is just completely the same as 30 years ago. And they like it because it feels comfortable and it feels safe. So not everybody is ready to learn a lesson in this lifetime. And they're okay with it. And they have to then accept the consequence. Because somehow life will show them and push them in a way, in whatever way, whether they get ill or something bad happens, or they have to deal with a lot of pain, or a great loss, or whatever, or they die young, whatever it is, somehow life will show you. And so that's why I always say life is a beautiful mirror. And if you're not willing to change certain things, that's perfectly fine, but just be okay with it. Or at least be conscious of it, that you cannot change it now, but then pick up something else you can change. I'm now working with the challenge of getting more organized. I'm really a very messy type in my work, and I can be easily distracted. And I would like to have it to be more focused. And I know I can be extremely focused when there's pressure, time pressure. So if I need to, like sitting here every day and even not knowing 19 minutes ago what I was going to talk about, because I had various subjects and I didn't know which one came most clearest through. But the fact that I have to sit here again, that I'm just have to do it. And it helps me to get more structure also in my day. So after the session, I have a few hours work, and I try to really organize that, because otherwise my mind is so creative. I have so many different things I can pick up and do that I'm constantly distracted by other ideas. So I never finish everything, and it's all over the place with notes everywhere, in my phone, in my computer, on paper, on little pieces of paper I just cut out of something, and then I just scribble something down. So it's really messy. It's also the way for me to be very creative, but it's also very unorganized, so it's hard to find things again. So for me, that's now a big challenge. And what there is to learn is more I know that I postpone things when it gets complex, and then I get distracted. So, like I'm still working on this big picture of this overview. Like I presented something a couple of days ago, and I'm still trying to really make that picture complete, and somehow I can't get it complete. And then I'm trying to translate that into the topics of the different chapters of the new program, the new version of this program. And somehow I've worked on it for many days now, and I'm still stuck. And as soon as I get stuck, I can see myself getting distracted. And then I change into a different subject, and oh, now I have to do this first. And then I go into that, and then I'm still very restless because I know that I need to solve that other thing. And weirdly enough, I know if I would have to present it next tomorrow to a big group of people, it would have been done. And somehow the security and safety of this 99 days gives me kind of this freedom already to be a bit more loose with timing. So I'll do it tomorrow. They can wait another day. Nobody's asking about it. So apparently what I've shared is already enough to work with. And I know I'll post it as soon as possible. And I'm not trying to figure out where this time pressure is coming, or I need this time pressure, this push from outside to get things done for myself. So there's a lesson to learn. And I've worked on this theme many years, half my life, I think. Since I was 14 or something, I had the same theme. And I still honestly don't really know what's underneath it. I could say I have ADD or whatever, but it doesn't really solve my problem. Because I know there's something else. It's probably something to do with perfectionism. Like I want to make it right the first time. I don't like failing, so I want to make it right the first time. But I'm not perfectionist in all areas, so it only happens in certain areas. So I can't give a clear answer to that, but I know that I will, if I push myself now to really approach it differently, then the lesson will show. And sometimes the lesson can be shown in a very unexpected way. So if you're now working on a lesson for yourself to overcome a lack belief, that's what I call a lesson, to overcome a lack belief, that has been shown so many times in your life, like this, one of the versions of not being good enough, the self-worthiness, for instance. And you're trying to overcome this to feel more worthy of yourself. And you might also have been experienced separately, it's not linked to each other for you. Separately, you might have had in your lifetime, for instance, physical complaints like headaches or stomach aches or whatever. Then if you now start to work on this unworthiness or this theme within you, you really want to change, and you try new things, and you're actively trying to change that pattern within you to see if it works differently. Then something like, for instance, this physical disbalance you have had for many times, like let's say it's a headache, might show up intensely out of nowhere, and you can't really understand why when finally when you're doing something positive for yourself and you're trying to change something, then it hits you in the face. And then you really have to go through that pain in order to learn and fully embrace what is shown to you. So what I'm actually trying to say is, if I'm trying to motivate you to change something because it will prove better, in that process, it might feel very bad at the same time, or it might get really bad and painful and uncomfortable. Because it's all interlinked. We are in a holistic system. It's not just we take on this single bit and then the next time we want to take that single bit, but it doesn't work like that. It's interlinked. And we don't know always how the links are. So we have to be very open And trust that if you change something which is good for you, which you know will improve your life, which will know you will get less attachment to that identity within you, which you know will bring you closer to who you are, then most likely life will show it to you in a more negative way than you might expect. And don't stop then. Don't stop when it gets really nasty. See that as a gift of life. Like, okay, you're ready for it now to learn this lesson. So I show you the worst version of it so you can fully embrace it. Because if I don't show you, if life doesn't show you the worst version of it, you probably don't take the full lesson that's been shown there. Or you don't fully release the full pain that is within you. So I kind of like that way how life shows us it in a harsh way, perhaps. But it's also in a kind way. It doesn't give you bits and pieces. If you're really ready to learn something, it comes right in your face. And if you ignore your lessons, life shows you as well. It also comes in your face. But as long as you're not aware of it, you are easily get into the victim mode. Like, you see, life is still bad. Nothing has changed. And it's still getting worse. And I'm still the person who's stuck within his job, who doesn't earn enough money. Well, I think I deserve more, or whatever. So if you're unconscious of the lessons that life shows you, then you stay in your shame, fear, guilt, anger, victim mode. But here in this group, I know by now that you're all conscious of what you want to learn. And still, life might show it to you in a very harsh and intense way. And that is actually the moment that you actually should fully open up and say, okay, I'm ready for it. I can fully embrace it now. So don't shut down in that moment. Don't shut down when you really have the chance to get through it. And once again, you have to change some things in order to get different experiences. You might have to change relationships, not just with your partner, or that doesn't have to be so dramatic. But it might have to be with friends or with family, and not that you have to break up all these things, but your attitude in that relationship might have to change. And then people might not like it. Okay, well, I need to learn a lesson here, so I hope you care enough about me that you're okay to let me learn this lesson here. And most likely you won't share this level with your friend or your family member, but that's okay. You don't have to share it. You can still learn your lesson. You can still act differently to see if it works then, if it changes something, if something shifted, even if it's confrontational. If you are trying to find a new fulfillment in life, like a new job or something you would like to do to share yourself, then start somewhere. Start within your job. Pick up a new role or ask for a new challenge or do things differently the way you do it now. Get into this discomfort. Be okay with being uncomfortable. Be very okay with that. Get very uncomfortable. So life to me is a learning path. If you want to see the lessons. And if you don't want to see the lessons, then it doesn't feel as a learning path. Then you just say, well, life is like this. It just happens. And okay, it's shit. And I'm in some parts the victim, or I'm okay with my life, or it's kind of perfect, actually. I've learned my lessons unconsciously. And actually have quite a great life, well, then you're more lucky than the persons who still feel a victim in this lifetime. So we learn different lessons in different lives, or in different times, or in different ways. And why it is, it's not an interesting answer for me. It might be for you, and there are many, many things people say about this. Mostly has to do with reincarnation in some sort of form. So get clear on the lessons you like to learn, because it will show up. If you, by now, opening up to all these new things and opening up to yourself, become more, it's most likely that life will show it you more clearly what you need to learn. Okay? Well, I hope this helps, and I'll see you back tomorrow. Bye.